Let's move into main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Al. And Al writes, "Hey, John, did you hear Stephen Amell offered to return as Arrow for season 9 if the pandemic caused more production problems? Seems like a major change from earlier comments about having no desire to play Arrow again. What are your thoughts on Amell's offer to return?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And look, this is kind of like the Brandon Routh thing, right? Brandon Routh said, yeah, it's possible I could come back as Superman. And then everybody's running around, did you hear Brandon Routh said he's coming back as Superman? I mean, there's a big difference there, right? To be clear, so let's give a little bit of context to this. So Stephen Amell is Arrow, and I will always like Stephen Amell. He can do whatever. I'll always like Stephen Amell. Doesn't matter, because I'll tell you something. He did something. Some of you have heard this before. I don't know if I've told you, but Anne was a big fan of the show, and it was Anne's birthday, and I fired off a note to Stephen Amell, and I said it would probably mean the world to Anne if you could give her a little birthday shout out. He was in Vancouver on set working, shooting Arrow. He ducked out of filming, went to his trailer, still with the black eye makeup on and everything, cool. Fired up a camera and sent out a birthday wish to Anne. How many people do, like how many of these actors and movie stars and whatever would actually do that? And listen, he would have been perfectly reasonable not to do that because he's working. He's in the middle of work. He's off in Vancouver. He's doing work and blah, blah, blah. He took time out. And so from that on, even though I stopped liking the show, even though I stopped liking Arrow for a while, it doesn't matter. I will always be in Stephen Amell's corner. I will always be a Stephen Amell fan. Just because good Canadian kid, but it was really, really good of him to do this. So I'll always be a fan of his. But when he departed Arrow, when they wrapped up Arrow and they seemingly killed him off and all that kind of stuff, he said some things that, look, as a fan of Stephen Amell, I said, that wasn't a wise thing to say on exiting out. He complained about a few things. I just thought it wasn't wise. Recently, he was on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast called Naked You or Part of You or Touching You, or I can't remember what the name of Michael Rosenbaum's podcast is.
I have it. I follow
you have it right there?
Yeah, I follow that podcast.
What is the name of that podcast?
I'm bringing it up.
I can't.
Yeah, it's called Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum.
Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum.
Which is just like cringeworthy title.
Pretty interesting, but whatever. So he was on there. And he made some comments, but it should be clear here. The comments didn't say anything about him coming back for season 9. Anyway, let's look at this. So Stephen Amell was being asked about stuff, and he said this. I called Greg up. That's Greg Berlanti. And this is Stephen Amell speaking. I called Greg up and said just that. I said, look, I hope this doesn't happen, but if everything goes to shit and you guys can't get actors up here, because you got to understand, this is the reason why I wasn't able to go to my damn grandfather's funeral. Because if you are, Canada's not letting Americans in right now.
Nope. I tried.
Yeah, you can come in, but the problem is as soon as you enter the country, you have to go into a 2-week quarantine. And so
the quarantine is actually apparently really nice.
Yes.
A friend of mine went into her Canadian quarantine and she was like, yeah, 3 meals a day. I get my own room. I feel like I'm in a little, meditation like spa, whatever.
Canada will treat you well.
Why can't I move to Canada?
Canada will treat you well.
I know.
But still, you got to be in quarantine. So this whole idea, like in everything in the television and the movie world is like moving quick. So they couldn't get... so he was basically saying, look, you're going to have trouble getting actors up here. So, and he says, oops, that's the wrong quote. Let's go back to this one. Everything goes to shit and you guys can't get actors up here because of issues about mostly American actors crossing into Canada right now. And if things can't be figured out, here's the deal, man. I'm here. And if I have to stay here, I want to work. And if I'm going to work, let's just figure out a way to bring Oliver back from the dead. Is what he said. So basically what he said, he was talking to Berlanti and he just said, look, if you guys are going to have some trouble get things going and you need something, I'm already up here, because he's working on his new show Heels, which I believe is also shooting up in Canada. He says, look, I'm here. I'll work. And if you want to bring Oliver back, let me know. As far as I can tell, it wasn't, let's do Arrow season 9. I don't think that's what he was saying. I think what he was saying, unless I'm missing something important here, I think basically what he's saying was like, look, if you need some stuff to fill some episodes and you want to do something interesting and you can't get actors up into Canada right now because you'd have to be sending them just to sit in a room for 2 weeks before they can even work, I'm here. And this is one of the reasons, Aaron, why, and again, you work in this industry, so you would know this better than me, but I would say this in any industry, whether it's the sporting world or whatever. Don't do anything when you're leaving a gig that appears to be burning your bridge. Don't do anything when you're leaving your gig that appears to be burning your bridge. Unless it's a really bad breakup. Try not to burn bridges. And I just felt like Stephen came dangerously close to maybe burning some bridges. I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying maybe got flirty a little bit close. But look, bottom line is, you know this television world better than I do. You've worked in a lot of television. You've actually specifically worked within the CW Arrowverse. But you don't rewrite your show just so you can put an actor into a couple of episodes or a couple. I mean, like, I just don't see this working. I do think it's interesting that Stephen is saying, you know what, it was great playing Arrow. I think he's realizing now. I think a lot of people think, you know what, look at Vin Diesel. You know what? I did Dom in Fast and the Furious for a couple of movies. I don't need to do it anymore. And he stepped away. Sylvester Stallone said at one point, you know what? I'm done playing Rambo and Rocky. Stepped away from both those characters for a number of years. But at some point you go, you know what? Those were good days. And I think maybe Stephen Amell's getting a little bit of that. I mean, I don't know. Aaron, you see these comments as an actress who's worked in a lot of these types of shows. What was your interpretation of them?
Okay, I'm going to say something and I want you to hear me on this. I do not know Stephen Amell. I don't know anything about his life or his lifestyle or how much money he has or where he spends his money. But I will say this, not speaking about Stephen Amell, but just speaking about actors in general. You know, when actors are on a television show, a successful television show, there is a steady stream of a really good amount of money coming in. And as far as I know, and I mean, I could be wrong, but from everything that I've read, from everything I read last night, Heels has not yet begun filming. Heels was put on hiatus along with everything else at the beginning of the pandemic.
He got COVID. Amell got tested for COVID, and they have started shooting.
They have?
So, yeah, he thought him getting COVID was going to ruin the show, but they were able to work around him and start production a little bit. But he tested positive for COVID. I think he's over it now, but I think
right. I guess like the latest that I heard was that he was training for Heels, but not that they were actually filming yet. Again, I could be wrong on that. I'm sure that people are already fact checking me right now. That's okay. But the way that I took it was not necessarily so much of a, hey, let me do you guys a favor, but like, wow, Arrow's kind of a cash cow. And when, you know, obviously no one expected the pandemic to happen. No one expected for most productions to be shut down. He is right. In addition to actors not being able to be flown to Canada, I mean, hell, we can't even be flown to Georgia. I have a friend who's casting a big TV show in Atlanta right now, and he said, we are not able to fly people in. We're having to look for only people that are working in Atlanta. So he said, we literally were like, what other TV shows are shooting on in Atlanta? Let's find people that are on those shows and see if they can work on our show when they have a day or two off. Well, then they found out that all the productions are like, no. If you're on our show, we're not letting you go to another show because we don't want you to risk going to their set and getting COVID and bringing it back to us. So it is very challenging to get actors to different locations right now. So he's not wrong in that. But is it necessarily a simple, oh, I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart? Or is it more a matter of, hey, you know, I have kids in school, I have mortgage, I have things to pay for. I need to make sure that this cash flow keeps coming. Now, I'm not saying that Stephen Amell is broke. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. The man is going to be getting residuals for the next 8,000 years for Arrow, and he's going to be doing just fine. But there is a difference between that steady stream of income from filming a TV series versus living off of residuals. You know, I know it very well. when I'm on a series, I'm making a ton of money. It is definite FU money. When you're not on a series, when all of a sudden you get
miss
cancer
that FU money.
or a pandemic hits, and you're living on residuals, you're like, yeah, this is nice, but we need to get back on. We need to get back on set. That the working on set money. So, I hear a couple of different things. And yeah, I do think that I worked on an episode. I won't say what show it was, but I worked on an episode of a really popular network television show. And the lead actress and I were chatting, and I mentioned something about, I had to put myself on tape for an audition. And she goes, God, that must be so great to just be able to audition for things and be so creative and see what new opportunities are. And I go, no, don't you do that. Don't you do that. And she goes, what? I'm just saying, I do the same thing. I go, you better do the same.
She's the regular on the show.
I said, you have been here for 5 years. And so you are having grass is greener feelings about what it must be like for the unemployed actors out there who get to explore all this creative stuff. I was like, bitch, get that money, run this show into the ground, and then you can take all of your millions of dollars and you can produce whatever you want. But do not wish this away for unemployment. Do not get it twisted. So I think that there sometimes is wow, I kind of forgot how good I had it when you're doing the same thing over and over.
Well, we all get that, right? We all get the grass is greener feeling, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a 7-year itch in a marriage. It's the, I've been living in this apartment for so long. Maybe I'd like to live on the other side of town. We all get that. And so I'm wondering if maybe there's a little bit of that, because let's face it, Arrow, probably as many things as there were to complain about, I'm sure that there were a lot of really good times, and you become family with your cast and crew, and you miss your family, especially when you're not, again, I don't know what the current status of Heels is. I know that last I heard he was training for it. I don't know if they're filming, but, and even then, it's a new family, a family that doesn't know each other in the same way that Arrow family does. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little nostalgia of him missing it, but, good for him for opening the possibility of that up. I mean, hey, and anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Question is for you guys. What do you think that's going to happen here? I don't think anything's going to come out of this, but maybe it could. And what do you think about Amell's comments? Jump down to the comments section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys.